Alright guys, today we're going to talk about keyboard shortcuts. You guys have seen me do this before. And by the way, you can see I have a little thing showing you what keys I'm typing that'll help with the to know what keyboard shortcuts I'm using. So I've got the sentence there. I'm going to highlight it. You ever notice that when I highlight it, I back up? What am I doing? Watch me do that again. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag and I'm going to back up. What am I getting rid of? I'm getting rid of that paragraph mark at the end. Did you see how I did not highlight that? Because when I go to copy this, I do not want it highlighted. So I'm going to copy it by going Control C. And Control C is the keyboard shortcut for copy. Control P is the keyboard shortcut to trigger the printer. And I don't want to print, so Control P was print, but Control V is paste, and I can go Control V, and I can even hold it down to have it do it again. If I decided that I want to select everything, I can go Control A, and I can go Control X to cut it. So Control A selects all, and Control X cuts it. Now I can say, whoops, I didn't want to do that, so I can go Control Z and undo. Control Z is probably one of the most important keyboard shortcuts you can have. Control Z, quick, undoes what you've just done. Okay, so we've got copy, paste, and cut. If you've got something highlighted, you can highlight it, Control X to cut that out, or you can say, whoops, Control Z and undo that. Alright, next we're going to talk about some other keyboard shortcuts. Now the keyboard shortcuts that I'm teaching you right now are the ones that I use most often, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of keyboard shortcuts, but they're not worth learning if you don't use them all the time. So cut, copy, paste, I use all the time. Control Z, I use all the time. Control P for print, I use all the time. Control S will trigger saving. So Control S for save, Control A to select all. I use all the time. Control N will create a new blank document. Almost universal is the keyboard shortcut Control Q. However, they eliminated it in Microsoft Word a couple years ago because they don't want you to quit the document. They want you to exit out. So they've gotten rid of that keyboard shortcut, but however, it works in almost every other program. Control Q will quit. Very related to Control Q is Control W. Control W will close your existing document. Now, when we get to this page, you're going to see that save is the default choice, and you can tell it's a default choice because it is marked with that heavy outline. And I could just press enter. However, I don't want to save this document. I don't have anything on it I need. Have you ever noticed that this letter S is underlined and this little letter is N is underlined? Well, those are keyboard shortcuts too. All I have to do is press N for no, I don't want to save, N, and it shuts the document. So again, Control N for new document. I type something. I say, I don't want this. Control W to close. No, N. And I have it done. So those are keyboard shortcuts I use all the time. Now, in Microsoft Word and in a lot of other programs, there are keyboard shortcuts that you use a lot, and they are certainly worth using. They don't work in every program, but they do work in this. What do you suppose Control B would do? That's right, it makes it bold. And then we have Control U for underline, and of course, what do you suppose Control I does? That's right, italicize. All right, one of the keyboard shortcuts I like to use a lot is Control F. I'm going to put my cursor at the beginning of the document here. If it will let me, it's not letting me. And I can do a search for the word fox, and just like that I find that word again and again. So Control F will trigger the find button. But that really works well on the internet. So if I'm going to look for what do whales eat, and I click on this link, and I see that this page goes on and on and on and on, and I know darn well you guys are not going to read that. You're going to move on, go back to another site. Well, if you do the Control F, you can go in and type EAT, and it looks for the characters EAT, and you see I have 18 choices up here, but I like to narrow it down a little bit more by pressing the space bar, because now it's looking for EAT space, and now I've narrowed it down to 8 times, and you'll see right here that whales will eat everything that comes up, from crabs to larvae to plankton and small fish. And just like that, I found it. Now, if we had been able to have classes at school, the next assignment would have been to type your name 35 times. And we're going to do that with keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to type my name, and there is a return character right here, because there's always a return character here at the end. And I'm going to prove it to you by clicking there. Now, when I turn that off, and I go Control A to select all, Control C to copy, Control V, paste it right on top of it, Control V, 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 V. Now I have 5 of them. Now, my cursor's down here. That means that the paragraph mark is here, but there's also one here, and I don't want 2 in a row. Let me prove it to you by turning on the All Characters key. There's 1, there's 2. So I'm going to press backspace to get rid of that paragraph mark, and now I'm going to go Control A to select all, Control C to copy. I'm going to paste, Control V, which is pasting right on top of what it had, Control V, again that's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Just like that, I've got my name 35 times. Could I have done that without keyboard shortcuts? Of course I could, but it sure makes it a lot easier once you have the keyboard shortcuts. I don't expect you to use all of the keyboard shortcuts all at one time, but it's worth it to start adding in a little keyboard shortcut. Maybe Control C to copy and Control V to paste. Maybe Control S to save. Maybe Control P to print. Okay? Just start working in some of those keyboard shortcuts a little at a time.